Welcome back to Issues and Interviews with Kieran Michael Lalor on the Hudson Power Broker YouTube channel. We have a great guest today. I'm so excited about this guest. She's taking some time out of her busy schedule to join us. AJ Catsimatidis, thanks so much for joining us. How are you today?
Thank you for having me on. I am fantastic.
Excellent,
How are you?
excellent. I'm good. And we're going to get a little bit into your background there, but I'll just tell anyone who doesn't know, AJ is the chairwoman of the New York County or Manhattan GOP, very vocal Republican. And tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to the point where you were the county GOP chair.
So, I have a business background. I was working in my family business, but I've always been very patriotic. I've always been politically involved because of my family. And I didn't think about getting specifically involved in politics until the previous chair retired. And a number of people came to me and thought that I should be chair. And as soon as they said this, I knew I had to do it because I care so much about my city. I care so much about my country. And in my way, this was my little bit of service that I could do.
Good for you. Good for you. And, you're very much the face of not just the Manhattan GOP, but really you're a very vocal and one of the most prominent Republicans in the entire city of New York. But you don't fit the typical background. I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that a young female in Manhattan is such a outspoken Republican. How did you become a Republican and become such a Republican activist?
So ever since I knew what it meant to be a Republican, I knew that I was a Republican because the Republican Party is the party of freedom and opportunity for all. And my father was an immigrant to this country. He came from an island of 900 people. 900 people. His father worked 7 days a week as a busboy. And through hard work and smarts, and because he was in the United States of America, he had the opportunity to found one of the largest privately held companies in the United States. And the idea of the American dream is so powerful. And it's something that I fight to preserve every day. And to me, the Republican Party is the embodiment of the values that support freedom and opportunity for all. And that's something that I would gladly fight for. And I care so much about it. So that's why I'm a Republican and a patriot.
That's a great answer. That's very inspiring stuff. We need to hear more of that around the country right now, especially your family's story, and that's almost everyone's story in this family. So many families. My grandparents were immigrants. They had a small grocery store. My father on my other side of the family first member of the family to graduate high school, and then the first member to graduate from college. And that's what it's all about, moving the family forward while you're also moving the country forward. So that's a beautiful all-American story. Thanks for that. AJ Catsimatidis, chairwoman of the Manhattan GOP. Some people, skeptics would say, hey, are there even any Republicans in Manhattan for you to lead in the political battles? What do you say to that?
The numbers are against us. It's 7-1 Democrat, but we do have 112,000 registered Republicans in Manhattan. So that's actually quite a bit of people. If you think about small towns are Republicans, but how many people live in the small towns? So actually we can mobilize quite a few people in order to support our causes. And so that's really exciting to have all that power, that manpower behind us, but we have to be more vocal about supporting Republican values here in New York City, definitely.
And, we have a real chance for a mutual friend of ours to win an assembly seat right in Manhattan. The doorman, Lou Puliafito, was on this show a couple of weeks ago, and he's running against Assembly member Seabright, who couldn't figure out how to get on the ballot, and she's going to have to try to run as a write-in or start a new party. What do you think about the doorman Lou Puliafito's chances in that assembly district in Manhattan?
So I think he has a great chance because, as you said, the Democrats really dropped the ball on this one, and I don't see how you could support an incumbent that couldn't even get on the ballot and couldn't get their stuff together enough to get on the ballot when first-time candidates could even do this. And like, you think about the people that are representing you in Albany. And I love Lou Puliafito. He has a great story. He works nights as a doorman so he can take care of his grandchildren during the day. And he's really running for the right reasons. He's running really for all New Yorkers, like creating opportunity for New Yorkers. So I think that he has a great chance, especially since not only is a Democrat not running on the Democratic line, but a whole bunch of other people just jumped into the race as well. So they're running on all different lines, and it's going to be extremely confusing for Democratic voters. So let's give them a place to go and support law and order. I think a lot of New Yorkers are really fed up with that as well.
Yeah, I think Lou would be great. You know, we have a lot of lawyers in the assembly. We have a lot of machine candidates who come out of the Democrat machines around New York City and other parts of the state. I don't think we have any doormen, and that's an all-American story, just like your dad's story and my family's story. You have a doorman by day, takes care of his grandchildren. Doorman by night, taking care of his grandchildren during the day, and he wants to make a difference for his community. That's really what it's all about. That's kind of the essence of America, and it's really the essence of the GOP. Let's change topics real quick. AJ, I'm watching the news from 60 miles north of Manhattan, and things have died down a little bit in Manhattan, although not completely. But you're kind of at ground zero as a Manhattanite and a leader of the Republican Party in Manhattan for all of the unrest, the violence and looting, and the increase in crime and kind of the war on cops. So what's your take from right there in the borough of Manhattan?
Absolutely. I mean, so many people are always like, oh, you're so lucky you live in New York City. But right now, you really do not want to live in New York City. I really envy anybody who doesn't live here right now because it's absolutely crazy. And unfortunately, these aren't things that you're just seeing on the news, clips that are meant for like little media bites meant to scare you. This is really going on all over the city. I live in a nice area. I have video clips of people looting right outside my window, people with sledgehammers. I have friends from all over the city that have sent me similar clips. Unfortunately, crime is running rampant. Just over the weekend, there were 44 murders. And it's just really crazy what they're letting go on in our city. And we need to be supporting our police, the police who put their lives on the line every day to keep us safe. And if they don't deserve our gratitude, then I don't know who else does. And so I think everybody needs to get it together and realize what the true consequences of what their movement are having.
Yeah, you're so right. And, those consequences played out in deadly fashion. A little girl walking down the street with her father, 6-year-old girl, and he's murdered in a drive-by shooting in the middle of the day. I mean, I remember that vaguely when I was a kid from the early 80s, the pre-Giuliani days, the pre-Bloomberg days. But that was the stuff of history until very recently. And if you handcuff the police and you force the police not to be proactive, crime is going to spiral. And I think the nicer neighborhoods, for the most part, will be okay. But poor people and people who live in neighborhoods where the majority are people of color, they're gonna pay the price, even though their advocates who are opposing the police say they're speaking for poor people and speaking for people of color. But they're going to pay the price for this increase in crime. It's already started.
Exactly. And, this is the point that I've been making this entire time. And before this all started, I even said this and I warned that this was going to be one of the consequences, that defunding the police is the most elitist thing that you can do because Mayor de Blasio and all of these celebrities are hiring extra protection. But what about everybody else who can't afford to do that? So are they just going to leave poor people to die? And unfortunately, we've seen in the crime statistics of the crimes being committed, 97% of those who have been killed in this uptick in crime were minorities. So unfortunately, this whole movement has destroyed many, many Black and minority lives in the process.
Really, really terrible. Let's move upstate a little bit to the congressional district where I live, which is the 18th congressional district. The incumbent is Sean Patrick Maloney. And another mutual friend of ours is running a great race, Chele Farley. I know you two are very close. Tell us how you know Chele and give us your thoughts on that race.
So I've known Chele for a very long time, since I was a little kid. And I've always known her as such a strong, independent, intelligent woman. And when I think of who I want to be fighting for me in Washington, that's exactly who I want to be fighting for me, because she will not give up and she will take no prisoners, and she really knows her stuff. So I'm really thrilled that she is running in this race. And I think that she has a fantastic chance to win.
She really does. She's a great candidate. She has a great background. She's been running a good campaign for a long time now. And I really do. I do think she's going to push that into the toss-up column and has a real chance to win it in November. Maloney's a weak incumbent. He doesn't really want to be there, and she's coming on strong. And I really like her chances. And I'm going to be running on the same ticket as her, and much of her district includes my assembly district. So I'm very hopeful for that race, and that would be a great win for Republicans and a great win for Chele. Now, Chele, I think very wisely. And I think it's also, where her heart is. She's a very outspoken Trump supporter, which I think is wise politically. And you're also an outspoken Trump supporter, but she's in the Hudson Valley in a district that Trump won. You're in Manhattan and you're a Trump supporter. Tell us about that.
So, I love my president. He is doing amazing things for the United States of America, things that the previous administration didn't even think was possible. Before the pandemic, unfortunately, hit, we had record low unemployment in every category. The stock market was at all-time highs. Our country was just doing fantastic. He really did what he said he was going to do, made America great again, and now he's doing it again. And I just love that he is a strong, independent voice that's not afraid to say what he thinks. As a New Yorker, I certainly really appreciate that. And unfortunately, I hate when I see him getting a bad rap in New York, because before he ran for president, everybody here loved him. Yes. He really helped build this city from the ground up. So many of these projects. And I know I look at Woolman Rink, the skating rink in Central Park, and it was because of him, President Trump, that we got that done. He really did so much for our city and for our country. And I just think he's amazing. And unfortunately, people will just say whatever the media tells them to say. And, they say all of these things about President Trump because they tell them to say it, and not because they really know about things that he's accomplishing.
Yeah, very true. You could make the argument that Trump fights too much, but previous Republican administrations didn't fight enough. So I always say, if he's going to fight too much, I can take that over not fighting back at all. And he wins a lot of those battles. There's a lot of time left. I think the alternative is really bad. You saw the Biden campaign basically adopt the Bernie Sanders platform in the last 24 or 48 hours. And even the Democrat primary voters rejected the Bernie Sanders platform. So now you have Biden, who's really he's not even really a candidate. He's kind of just a vessel for all of these ideas, which are increasingly radical. And I think President Trump's going to make that case to the American people in November, between now and November. And it's the radical alternative or make America great again. And I think we're going to get enough electoral votes, and I think popular votes to reelect President Trump. And we're going to work hard to make sure that happens, as I'm sure you are also.
Absolutely. And I saw yesterday his economic speech that he gave, Joe Biden's speech, and he talked about wanting to abolish shareholder capitalism. We don't want socialism in America. Yeah. Capitalism is what built our country, makes our country great, gives everybody the opportunity to succeed. If you work hard, you're rewarded for your success, and you can live the American dream. And that's the point of America, and we can't see that go away. And that's why President Trump needs to be reelected.
Well said. And one last topic. We've done the presidency. We've done an assembly race. We talked about Chele's congressional race. But in the next cycle, we're going to have a mayoral race. And somebody very close to you, your father, has been rumored to be a mayoral candidate for the mayor of New York City. Your thoughts on that? So
as chair of the Manhattan Republican Party, and I'm actually vice chair of the state party representing the New York City region as well, I have to keep this as an impartial process. But at the same time, I think my dad would be a fantastic candidate if he decides to run. He's the ultimate American dream story. I think he has a positive, unifying message that we could really use right now. The whole message of creating opportunity. And if he could do it, anybody could do it too. And that's the idea that we really need to have. And I really hope he decides to run, because we need it here.
Yeah, that would be great. And this is a real opportunity with everything that's going on. You could have a repeat of a situation like Rudy won in 1993, where crime is needs to be dealt with, and you can't trust the Democrats to do it, and you need to bring in a Republican even in a Democrat city. I'd love to see that happen. AJ Catsimatidis, thanks so much for all of your time and your insights. Let's talk again, and let's keep working for President Trump and Chele and Lou and all the great candidates on the 2020 ballot.
Awesome. And thank you for all of your hard work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Stand strong and support our country. Thank
Always,
you.
always. You too. Have a great day, AJ.
You too.
Again.